Debra Lee Baldwin, and I am so privileged to be with Woody Woodruff, who is the estate manager for one of the finest estates in Paradise Valley to the northeast. Is that correct? Of Phoenix? Woody is going to show us around the grounds here and talk about how he keeps multiple specimens, not only of cacti, but also woody perennials that add color and interest and texture.
That's Archer.
Archer is an elderly lab who likes attention.
Yeah.
See, the ball is in Woody's pocket, the ball that Archer chases. So Archer is very keen for us to get on with it. But anyway, we're gonna walk around. You are gonna get some fabulous tips on growing these desert plants. If you can grow them here, Woody.
You can grow them anywhere.
There you go.
It's a legacy garden. And I would turn over in my grave if someone came in, bought the property, and took this garden away because too much love and too much interest in it.
Yeah.
15 years ago when I was hired as the estate manager, this property looked like others in Paradise Valley, confused with the Sonoran Desert and Palm Springs. You know, they want geometric bushes, the Bermuda grass, overseed rye. We stripped this thing all the way down to the dirt 9 years ago, left the trees, and then brought in all of this.
Wow.
And it's turned into a little mini botanical garden. The full estate is just under 7 acres. Everything outside the gate and the wall on the north side of the property is indigenous Sonoran Desert. Nothing out there that you would not find in this area of the country. I try to look after everything, try to keep everything clean and plump and healthy. So a lot of the species not being indigenous to this area is tough. You know, Richard can vouch for that.
We'll be joined by succulent and cactus expert Rich Zay, whom Woody consults on how to keep the estate's plants perfect. Be sure to see my video of Rich's own garden nearby and his 30-year cactus and succulent collection. And the owners, are they here part-time?
No, they're full-time residents.
Oh, they are. Well, many thanks to them for letting us come.
Yeah. I have 7 different species of crested, the knots that you see. Richard probably has his theory. I have my theory on why it happens, and I understand there's 3 approved theories, and I think all 3 of them are correct. There's one of the examples of a crested. See how it knots up on the end. You'll notice this one very rarely blooms.
Yes, they're not happy.
I know, it's just not a happy plant. Beautiful, but kind of sad.
Mine always die out.
Really?
Yeah, they only
I haven't yet to have one die out on me. I think maybe because it's in the shade. Me personally, I think it's genetic. What do you think?
I think it's damage, either from a genetic anomaly or insect damage sometimes.
And then you can see the crested arm up there. They really are, and I hate them. I got them everywhere.
What have you got everywhere?
The Mexican fence post.
Mexican fence post, that's the tall one.
But that's what Rich says doesn't really work here, isn't
No,
it?
they don't. They want too much water.
Oh, my Spanish sword bloomed double this year.
Sweet.
Had 2, it was beautiful.
Yeah,
I think I may have a picture of it.
I think the rain this year really helped them out.
Oh, it did. It did. Just flourished this year because of the water.
Great.
The brake lights are the Hesperalo?
Yeah. Because they put them in the medians all over town.
Yeah.
And the flower matches brake lights. It's like, it's like a pair of pants. It keeps that trunk from getting sunburned. It keeps insects away, disease. It trap moisture that's rising from the ground. I mean, it does a lot of good. I mean, it keeps the plants healthy. And I'll show you an example like this one right here that was trimmed, and look at the top of it, and look at the difference between these two. See the heads, how beautiful and big they are and healthy
Yeah.
looking?
Yeah.
And this one's got two little heads on it. It lost two arms, and it's because it was stripped. It's a fungus, I think. You know, Richard verified it. I sprayed it a couple times with hydrogen peroxide, about 75-25 water, 75% hydrogen peroxide. And the new growth, you know, it hadn't spread to the new yet, but who knows. A typical saguaro cactus looks for nitrogen only twice a year. And it looks at in its growing cycle and its storing cycle. So if you throw in nitrogen on it all year, the plant it'll die because it's getting too much. So you have to kind of be careful how much nitrogen you put on cactus because they look for it at different times of the year. They're like the human body. They look for sugars at certain times of the year. And then certain bacteria that you want to feed that's in the soil, algae that grows in DG, and it produces natural nitrogen. It's alive on one end, and then the decaying end actually produces nitrogen for the soil. So that's how nature provides nitrogen. Okay, that's one example. The Sonoran Desert is DG, you know, it fits together like this, and there's very few algae that can survive in that.
Oh, that makes sense.
And the heat will kill it. Just ground temperature can get up to 140, 150 degrees.
Just in the ground.
Yeah, and then you get radiant heat. The driveway can go 180, 190.
Good heavens.
And so you get blister burn from the side of houses, from driveways and everything else. You have to pay attention to reflective heat.
Not just heat, but light.
Really the heat, more than anything. It's all about the heat. If you look real close, there's still a lot of damage on them. Yeah. But I brought them all here, made one big happy family and said, please work, because they didn't work anywhere else. And now look, I mean, they're coming back. The damage is almost gone, and I'm so excited to have this little piece of heaven right here that people say, that doesn't work in Sonoran. Yeah, it will.
It's all about microclimate.
It's the honest to God truth. It's the only place on the whole property that they work. You can still see the damage on them.
Oh, yeah.
It's trying. It's hanging in there. There's red, peach, and down by the garage, white. We kind of trim them a little, not much. Just let them kind of do what they want to do. These are Mediterranean trailing vincas that I do during the summer. And by the end of summer, that'll look like one pot. They were just planted last week. During the winter, we do geraniums, fluctuate between red and white geraniums for Christmas. It's the only cactus you can grab and hug because it doesn't have spines on it, and it feels like rubber. But it's the common totem pole, but I think they're fascinating.
These are available back home in Southern California, but hard to come by. And
Really?
here the place is lousy with them. It is
Well,
just...
I feel honored. They were scattered all over the property. Just brought them all in here.
So what was here when you started?
Bermuda grass and jojoba's and hedges, Palm Springs, Fort Lauderdale landscape.
Fertilizer.
As a general rule, for the whole garden, 2 times a year, 20-20-20 granular time release is usually enough. Tall cactus looking for nitrogen twice a year. In the early fall, late summer, which starts a growing period, then again in the spring, about 6-7 months later, just before they go into their blooming season. And they're dormant when it gets extremely hot. Most cactus are dormant. Their feeding period is during the monsoon, which is late summer, early fall, and then during the winter rains again. I used to use liquid, but I've gotten away from that. I finally weaned most of the plants off the nursery diet, so to speak, and now it's just pretty much straight water. I do use well water. I do not use city water because I don't want to put chlorine and potash in the soil because I don't think that's good for plants. That's me personally. The plants at a nursery are not natural. They're overfed and overwatered to make them more attractive. You take it home and it starts to shrink and it changes color. and you're thinking it's dying. No, it's reverting back to its natural state. I'll bring in shade cloth and stretch shade cloth over a lot of different areas just to keep them from getting sunburned. End of May, June is when I start covering.
And you leave the covers on until?
October, November.
Great practical advice, Woody. Thank you. I'm sure there are a lot of Arizona homeowners who had no idea and appreciate.
There's a lot.
Well, you talk about a legacy, you know? Yeah.
Labor of love.
Yeah.
You know, these are my babies.
Yeah. Well, it shows.
Thank you.
And what do you think, Archer?
Archer, what do you think? What do you think? No, I'm not going to throw the ball. This is what you get when you have a quote-unquote master qualified retriever. Where I come from, all dogs have jobs. They don't just lay around the house and wait to be fed. He's a master qualified hunter retriever, both upland and waterfowl. He picks up ducks and doves and pheasants and chuckers and
Chuckers? Oh, not
all
chuckwallas.
kinds of table fare.
Who are those ladies at the end? In white is my friend and helper Pat Roach, and in black, ceramic artist Janet Orr, whose Paradise Valley garden we also toured. Get more tips on desert gardening and find the names of the estate's main plants on the corresponding page of my site. I hope you found this video helpful and entertaining. My goal is to inspire you to enjoy using cacti and succulents in beautiful and creative ways in your own garden and outdoor living spaces. Please know that Woody and I appreciate your comments, and do subscribe and hit the like button. I'm Debra Lee Baldwin. Thank you for joining me.